Obviously, I've seen you making things online. I'm curious, like, what is you said you were a teacher. You said you just kind of wanted to start. Do you call yourself like an investigative journalist? Do you call yourself just kind of an online content creator? What really made you start, doing what you do with YouTube?
Originally, so you'll notice my channels generally fall under Green Neighbor, but then with all the political stuff that's been going on, I started a sub channel called Green Neighbor Dash Policy Watch. And essentially, Green Neighbor was about climate change and climate action. And I started out just trying out different things, like electric cars, solar panels, tankless hot water heaters, etc., trying them out and then letting people know how they worked. It was my experience, with the promise that I'd be brutally honest. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it saves you money, cool. Great. And so that was going fine. But then all this political stuff started to occur. And I realized, well, we're not going to make any headway on climate change with an administration that doesn't even acknowledge the reality of climate change. And so I became very interested in politics and just seeing what I could do to maybe move the needle to help a party get elected that at least acknowledges climate change and is going to take action on it. And so obviously I'm very concerned on that front. But the more you get involved in this stuff, the more you get to learn everything else that's going on. It's, so for me, this is no longer just about climate change. But that's what got me into content creation in the first
You
place.
dipped your toes in the climate change post 24 election. Here we are talking about, concerns of the 24 election and the upcoming elections as well.
I'll admit, even leading up to the 2024 election, I was busy making content just explaining legal aspects of, for example, when the Supreme Court essentially provided presidents in the United States with, criminal immunity for their, legal immunity for their actions, at least within certain realms, within the realm of their constitutional privilege and so on. And I was issuing warnings about that. I was just clarifying where the Supreme Court stood on that, where the rationale, the ratio decidendi, if you will, for the dissenting votes, just trying to make sure people understood what they're getting into here.
You wanted to educate people. That's really the whole point of making. We're in the same boat, right? That's the same reason why I actually started. I helped found the ETA and started publishing things and putting reports out and putting out videos, is because I think the first thing we realized is we need people to really be aware. That is the first step, right? In doing anything and improving anyone's way of life and making sure elections are being run, correctly. We need people to be aware of what is the reality, what is actually going on, how are our elections being run, how is our system working. I think, as you said, that's the first thing, is you figure out, where are we at? Do people actually realize that is where we are? And then how can you start educating people so that we can go forward and do better things and grow or whatever? And I think, as you said,
Exactly.
that's politics for you, is, what is the actual intent behind everything that's going on?